Welcome back, learners. In this section, we are going to discuss principles of ethical performance management and also the dilemmas in these performance management systems. Friends, we have so far discussed PMS subject in various videos, and in the last unit of this, we had seen the concept of ethics and also some of the basic issues in ethics. I had listed them down, and in this today's video we are going to discuss them in details with some more examples. So let us discuss first what are the principles of ethical performance management. Friends, the principles of ethics and principles of ethical performance management, they are almost similar with few of the differences. Let us see what these principles in ethical performances tell us. There are 6 principles I have noted down with reference to the book by A.S. Foley and T. Deb in their performance management system, performance management book. They have noted down these principles, and first of them is employees are driven by core values. So, when the organization is designing its core values, it is expected then that those values will be imbibed and communicated to all the employees at the time of they join and also throughout their organizational tenure. These values and principles are not to be told them once and to be remembered by them always. That is why they are usually displayed in the atmosphere or in the premises of the organization, and employees are expected to follow them. So these are the values that are driving these employees through their behavior and actions. Here they are also told that what are the standard expectations by them and what are the basic principles that the corporate is running on. Second is inherently promote justice and fairness. So the organization is expected to promote the justice and fairness inherently and to all of the employees who are connected to it, so that it will help to avoid any dilemmas and issues at the very first place. When everyone is knowing these values and they are also practicing them, there are less chances that any issues or conflicts will arise. So the third principle says that the organization must recognize and reinforce the employees for the responsibility that they take. Many of the time the responsibility is a collective and organizations take it, yes, but here the employee individually is supposed to take the responsibility and not the responsibility to be taken by his team. This is because when an employee is knowing that he is having a particular task responsibility, he will deal with it by following all the standard procedures and expectations. That will also motivate him or her to give her or his best so that they will be recognized and they will also contribute to the organization's success. The fourth principle is to integrate with external and internal stakeholders and their expectations and demand. Many of the times organizations get focused on the development of their internal employees and also focusing on their own profits. It should not be the case. Even the external stakeholders have to be considered. As we all know that the internal employees are the internal stakeholders, along with them the managers and also the governing authorities are the stakeholders in the organization. The next principle is operationalizing the organizational culture. In In this principle, the term organizational culture in itself is a very vast area. When we talk about creating such organizational culture, let us refer to the Bellingham's ingredients that he has noted down to form and create a healthy ethical culture. So what is this healthy culture looks like? He says that there should be the strong values and ethics to be practiced, to be communicated in the organization and expected to be performed by everyone in the organization. He says that there should be a belief in integrity by the top management while implementing these strategies. So the integration of these strategies have to be believed by the top management and the steps to be taken accordingly. Leadership modeling and commitment is another ingredient that he adds, which supports the organizational culture to become healthy and to become effective. So here, when we talk about leadership modeling and commitment, the people who are having leadership roles here, along with them, also the employees are considered, because leadership modeling talks about also creating the future leader. So everyone is given an equal opportunity to come up with their leadership skills. They may be in different areas. Some may lead in knowledge or some may lead in the administration part. That has to be allowed. So your culture has to be so that these modelings and commitments should come from the people from all the levels. Training and practices. So there should be a healthy culture where the education, training and also such practices are being given. They have to be practiced so that with the change in time, all those necessary skills, attitude, attributes and abilities can be given to the employees. Procedures and systems. It is talking about all the organization having such procedures and systems which do not allow for any loopholes to be manipulated, misused or those cannot be recovered by the employees and management itself. And there should be a common view towards the organizational culture development. So he says that a common view ingredient is one where everyone in the organization is having this belief also that we need to create a healthy culture which is going to be beneficial for us as well as for the organization. The next is upward and downward communication. This ingredient tells about sharing the information and also sharing the knowledge from upward to downward streams and vice versa. So this communication is going to help to build healthy relationships, trustability and also a belief that everyone is being supported. Even the leaders need support from their team and also the team needs the guidance of the leaders. So in a way you will notice that we have been stressing some of the points frequently because these points are the base of this whole PMS. So all these ingredients are giving us support in decision making, behavior and action oriented things for the healthy work culture. So operationalizing this culture is also a principle of ethical performance management process. And also the last one is the robust process. That means here it is very important for us to know what robust here means. That gives a message that everyone is knowing what their actions are getting affected into, and if in the performance measurement, if there have been some rankings, so those ranks are to be be communicated to the employees, and also the reasons why he has received these ranks. So when there is a transparency and communication enough to bring the fairness, it will make those employees believe that yes, I have been rated this way because my performance was this, and the standards expect me to do XYZ things. So everyone is knowing about everything, that why this so happened. That is the principle of robust process, which is listed here as per the authors. So this is the first part of this lecture. The principles of ethical performance management, although they are being imbibed, they are believed, they are framed, and the vision statements or policies displays them. It is not so easy, and always there will be some challenges to be faced to adopt them and practice them. Let us see what are the dilemmas and issues that a manager or the organization can face when they want to implement these all ethical practices. Friends, as said by the authors also, and we all know that no manager would want that he would discriminate in his subordinates and rank them irrationally. So everyone wants that everybody's performance has to be increased. But there are certain issues. Let us understand why it is not always possible and why the managers do not get succeeded in rating everyone equally. So first is managerial practice. This is the first issue or dilemma that comes. We have discussed in the last lecture also that managerial malpractices can be there which result into creating the dilemmas. Like we had talked about in the last lecture about the case of Rahul, where he is performing well and management is not in a position to give him the hike that he expects. Friends, now what are the options that Rahul is having? If he is not satisfied that he is not satisfied with the percentage of hike that has been given to the management, given by the management, and now he is demotivated and thinks of leaving his job, do you think it is a fair situation? Sometimes even the management is not in a situation to provide him or such candidates a better hike. Why this is so? When the organization sets standards for the performances, it also has the standards for the increments. Now, if someone is given the highest increment that is possible as per the system of the organization, and still that person is expecting more because he has outperformed, it is not in the hands of the management, because there are many such people who are performing at the same level. So when this situation arises, the management gets into the dilemma, and it is practically not possible. In this situation, Rahul may take the decision to stay and continue with his demotivated moral, or he may choose to lose a job. But it is up to you, and you will have to think that is it fair to leave that job just for the reason, or what you would do in place of Rahul. So there have been moral mazes also. Some organizations do not promote, or they fail to promote. Third is different standards. So at some times the organization may have the measurement standards differentiated for different employees of the same level, which is unethical, and this dilemma creates more issues. Value conflicts, as we all know that there are value conflicts. Here I would give you an example that many times when the values are being communicated to the employees, they do have their own set of values which may contradict to the organizational values, where we can find that both are right at their own places, but it's just the situation that their values do not have much commonalities, and it creates the conflicts. Even the base or the fundamental of the conflict says the same thing, that in the organization conflicts will arise whenever the organizational objectives and individuals' own objectives have a long gap. So the corporate goal achievement. Many times corporates set such goals which are practically impossible or which are creating pressure to the employees. As we can see that here I have written one percentage, and the research says that 48% of the employees who have been surveyed, they accepted that the goal set for them were too much aggressive and which were unrealistic to be achieved. So another dilemma is superiors taking the credit for subordinates' work. Let us not discuss this in detail because this is most of the time listed dilemma, and this is usually done for the promotion purposes and also for the by the managers who feel that they need to get the credit for their own team's work. Employee engagement. Having efficient employee engagement policies is extremely essential. When an organization is engaging so much of infrastructure and other capital in the human assets, these assets are to be expected to perform for the organization and not do their personal work. Like small example is using the organization's internet facility for own purposes, which are not directly contributing to the organization's work. So how that organization is engaging their employees and whether that work is being mapped or not is also essential. Managerial favoritism. The management may be seen being more favorable to some people, which may create the atmosphere of disbelief among other employees. Peer pressures are there. Here we mean peer pressure by that peer pressure of performance felt by an employee, that if he or she do not perform well, then he may get out or he may be neglected by his own peer group, and they may talk behind her or him about his performances. So this is one of the peer pressure that is also an ethical issue which has to be tackled by the organization, and it is the responsibility of the organizations to create such an atmosphere where even if this pressure is being felt by the employee, he or she can share it with the peer group, and the peer group has the acceptance level for it and discussed. The career aspirations. Career aspirations of many employees make them more aggressive and manipulate the atmosphere in their peer groups. And of course the workplace politics, which is always there. The survey says that many of the managers are engaged, 18% of their total time in a month is engaged in resolving such workplace politics issues which are reported by their subordinates. Even here, the value conflict, 31% of the employees surveyed have accepted that they have a difference, they feel the conflict or the level of difference between the organizational and personal level goals. So friends, this is about the whole principles and also the dilemmas of the performance management that are faced by the organization. I hope I have been pretty clear in explaining them, and if you also want to explore more and have your interest in the HR field, you need to know, you need to just search about the policies and also be convincing to yourself that these points are pretty believable. If not, then you will have to search your own sources, and unless and until you believe in them, keep exploring. So friends, in the next lecture we will be talking about more of ethics, and we will be discussing about what are the solutions to bring ethical culture effective. So friends, unless and until I get into that next lecture, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.